sujood is necessary for a mistake in recitation. And I'm saying the recitation, a mistake where you may forget a word.
Okay.
Or two.
Clear. Crystal clear.
Now I think
Fadal.
that in my previous classes with my sheikh, he would say that, I think I remember him to say that if you stop at that point and don't continue the recitation, then there's no mistake.
Tayyib.
There's no
Sujood. Tayyib.
But if you continue, then you should do the two sujood at the end of the salah.
Tayyib, Sheikh.
That's the first question.
Tayyib. Second question, I'm listening.
Second question is a point of in the salah, the breaking of wind. There's a level that if it's like if you don't smell it or hear it, then there's no breaking the wudu.
Okay.
I think that's what I remember.
Tayyib. Clear, Sheikh. You my Sheikh, so I'm gonna give you a pass on this one. But under the normal rules,
I'm over 60 years.
the cup is definitely what? It's full, Sheikh. Aywa, but you my teacher, so we're not gonna use the guillotine tonight, inshallah. No guillotine, Sheikh. No white meat, but
They couldn't come and bust me, but
Allah Akbar.
I'll take it.
The cup is definitely spilling on the ground. How you doing? At the end of the day, Sheikh, I would say humbly, is sujood al-sahu. The ulama of Islam, they mentioned three reasons. Doing something extra in the prayer, doing something less in the prayer, or doubt. And of course, doing something extra forgetfully, taking something away from the prayer forgetfully. All three of those reasons pertain to the actions of the prayer and not the recitation.
That is the reason for my question.
Yeah.
That is the reason for my doubt, because I learned later exactly what you're talking about.
Maybe your teacher, maybe he knows something I don't know about.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what I would say. Is that it's going to be pertaining to the pillars of salat, the wajibat of salat, etc. I forgot to make ruku, I forgot to recite the Fatiha, not a mistake in a verse, so on and so forth. And of course, some scholars, they say, is that anything that you forget about in your prayer, even a recommended supplication, you should make the sujood, the two prostrations. So perhaps that's what that is. But in general, if you make a mistake in the recitation, it's not the same as doing something physical, which requires for you to make the two prostrations. As far as passing wind in the prayer and hearing it or smelling it, and the question he said, does it? What was the rest of the question? I'm sorry.
That is the level where it becomes a breaking of the wudu, where you hear it, you can hear it and smell it.
Okay, so the two main understandings of that hadith. The first interpretation of the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ says, do not leave the prayer until you. One interpretation is that no matter what happens, you don't leave the prayer and you have wudu, as long as you don't smell it or hear it, regardless of the other signs. And another interpretation of the hadith mentioned by the ulama is that that's pertaining to certainty. Is the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned the two main reasons of a person being certain of passing wind: hearing it or smelling it. And it doesn't necessarily mean just because you don't hear it or smell it that you haven't broken your wudu. A person is sure that wind has left my body, even if he doesn't hear it or smell it, they may say that your prayer is broken. And then some scholars may even say is that this is specific to the prayer. Outside of the prayer, different story. But in the prayer, because of waswas, and because the prayer is so sacred, the Prophet ﷺ, he said that the prayer is haram. What tahrimuha. The prayer is off limits. The prayer is supposed to be totally sacred, right? Is that you're not to leave the prayer until you have full certainty. And the waswas is very dangerous in the prayer. Wallahu alam. That's in brief. And Allah knows best. Khairan, inshallah. All right, there's nothing else. Let's see what we have online. Fadal, Sheikh Anwar, go ahead.
This is about when you're placed in the grave. How long did the question the grave How long do that last?
When you're placed in the grave, how long does the questioning last? I don't know specifically. I don't know of an authentic hadith that gives us a specific duration. That which is apparent, wallahu alam, al-zahir, is that it's brief and that it's quick. And the way that the Prophet ﷺ told us the hadith is that they ask the question and yes or no answer, punishment or blessings. As soon as the answer is given incorrectly, they're punished, humiliated, disgraced. And as soon as the answer or the answers are given correctly, the soul ascends, the grave is made expansive, the perfume, the light, and the rest of the joy of the grave is enjoyed. So that which is apparent from the hadith is that it's something which is very quick. And those are the Prophet's words to us in this world. We know the rule that the ulama of Islam, the scholars of Islam have taught us is that everything in the hereafter is going to be bigger, faster, greater, etc. All we have is just the word. So if the Prophet tells us something being very quick in the hereafter is going to be when the Prophet tells us about the food of Jannah, the Quran tells us about this in Jannah, it's nothing like this world, right? So that which is apparent is that it's quick. And that the questions, they come and you get the chance, the opportunity, and then that's it. There is no delaying, going back and forth, hold on, like we have in this dunya. And Allah surely knows best. First question is from Instagram. It's coming from London, UK. Initials BY. I'm currently learning Hanafi fiqh with a Medina graduate who studied there for 10 years. We're learning but without evidence. Should I follow that madhab? May Allah bless you in your studies. Trust your teacher. Don't question your teacher as long as you're a student, as a beginner. What your teacher gives you, you take it, inshallah ta'ala, until you learn otherwise. This is the proper way of studying, not to butt heads and to fight with your teacher. And we all know that Abdullah ibn Abbas, he had many students, countless disciples from different cities. And some of them chose to sit with him and learn, and others chose to argue with him and debate with him. And I'm not going to mention his name. There's one of his disciples that was always argumentative with Ibn Abbas, and he left with the smallest slice in comparison to the other disciples who kept silent, emptied their cups, and they soaked it up. And some of the scholars, they said about this story, this narration, they said, "Man sahiba ahl al-ilmi naqidan, raja'a minhum faqidan." Is that he who accompanies the people of knowledge as a critic and a skeptic will leave them empty-handed. Man sahiba ahl al-ilmi naqidan, raja'a minhum faqidan. Whoever is constantly criticizing, arguing, debating, fighting with his teacher, when he leaves, he's going to be broke. He's not going to have nothing. So the proper way of studying with a trusted teacher is that you take the knowledge. Until you learn and you grow and you mature, that's a different story. You get other sources. All right? In the Hanafi fiqh and the Hanafi madhab, of course, there's a great deal of controversy about Imam Abu Hanifa. May Allah have mercy on him. A great deal of controversy, a lot. Definitely the most out of the four Imams. And his school and his disciples and students, it's a very long story and discussion. What's important is the Hanafi madhab is one of the four mainstream madhabs of jurisprudence in Islam. And if that's all you know, and that's all you've studied, you follow that until proven otherwise. But I will tell you, whether you're studying Hanafi, Shafi'i, Maliki, whatever you're studying, is that if you're learning for the long run, for the long haul, know for sure babies and infants, toddlers are not fed like 6, 7, 8-year-olds. So you learn here at this stage, not with the intention of remaining as a baby. You're not going to put a 7-year-old child in a high chair. You're not going to give your 10-year-old baby food, mushed up peas and carrots. Period. So there's a lot of mental backwardsness when it comes to studying. And it's a lot of extremes. One extreme from day one is to question and to challenge your teacher. And to show up your teacher and to play your teacher. What's this? What's the proof for that? I know more. You're this, you're that. That's an extreme. And that's very, very prevalent. And another extreme is to remain a blind follower, is to remain a follower, is to remain the student of the teacher for the rest of your life. That's a problem. And we all know what some of the early Muslims would say, some of the ulama of Islam, they would say, the only way, when he was asked, how can a person repay his teacher? The knowledge that you gave me, the time that you took out of your life, your busy schedule to teach me something, how can I repay you, right? In actuality, I can never honestly repay you monetarily. I can't give you back what you gave me. But he said the only way the student can repay his teacher is by no longer being his student. Think how deep that is and how profound it is, subhanAllah. That's the only true appreciation that you give to your teacher is by you relinquishing yourself from him being your teacher. Meaning you what? Khalas. I can't give you anything else. I'm done. I gave you all I could. So the mindset of remaining on a madhab, remaining with this sheikh for the rest of your life, that's an extreme, right? And we've spoken on this, the proper way of studying and the two extremes. Yeah, and then criticizing your teacher, arguing that none of those ways you're not going to be successful. Wallahu alam. طيب. Fadl, Ustad.
I got one more question for you, and I just thought about it because it was a discussion that I had with another brother, older brother, and we were talking about another matter, and we got onto the subject of, he made a statement about the haram and the halal, and he said that a brother has to prove that something, or a person, not a brother, but a person has to prove that something is halal. And if he doesn't, because the default is that it's haram. And I said, no, actually, that's not the way I understand it. I said because the halal is clear and the haram is clear. If it's not clearly haram and he does it, you have to prove that it's haram.
No doubt, Sheikh. The origin of worldly things, foods, clothes, whatever, is that it's all lawful until clearly proven to be haram. As they say, innocents are proven guilty. You don't have to prove your innocence. No matter what, you have to prove that I did this crime. So the default is that it's lawful. And Allah knows best. The next question is coming from London, UK. From initials KS. Assalamu alaikum, Sensei. I pray you're well. What do you look forward to in Jannah more? Chill alone, in peace, enjoying the nature of Jannah, or socializing, meeting everyone? May we meet there, inshallah. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ameen. What I look forward to most, I mean, of course, the Prophet ﷺ tells us that the greatest joy of the people of paradise is seeing the face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's no doubt about that. The Prophet clearly tells us that they're not given anything which is more beloved, which is greater to them than looking at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So may Allah make us of those who see his face in Jannah. Ameen. Question comes from Geneva, Switzerland. Initials UG. Sheikh, can the walima be delayed for a period of more than 6 months due to financial or geographical reasons? You shouldn't delay the walima. If you don't have that much money, the walima can be tea and dates. The walima, of course, there's food, but the walima is symbolic. Telling the people that you're married, having the people make dua for you, for your children, for your family, your harmony, etc. So implement the sunnah, even if you have tea and dates. That's the walima. And if you read the hadiths of the Prophet ﷺ, his walimas weren't extravagant. They didn't always have meat. They didn't always have camel meat, roasted camels. Oftentimes they had barely had stuff. If you read those hadiths, simple, basic, cold food. They brought together whatever they could, and that was the walima. Okay? So that's the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Do whatever you can. And of course, the Arabs, they say, al-jud min al-mawjud. Be generous from that which you have. It's all I got, it's tea. Or I have roasted camel. Give whatever you have. Be simple, inshallah ta'ala. As far as geographical reasons, then that's a different story. But still do some type of walima. And then if and when you meet up with your wife later on, you can do another type of get-together, something like this. And Allah knows best. Khair, inshallah. First question is coming from London, UK as well. Initials AS. Can a person join someone praying a fard salah or do they have to say takbir al-ihram out loud to join? You make takbir, you enter the prayer with that person. H.A. from Hamilton, Canada. Can a man wear the color pink, or is that feminine? No, I don't think that pink is absolutely feminine. Like we've explained before, that it's not just color, okay? It's not just color. Black. Would you consider black a feminine color or a masculine color? A peaceful color or a menacing color? What's important is you're wearing black, 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 right? One of the most popular colors of women's lingerie is what?
Black.
Black. That's a fact. That's the default color. It's a fact. Khalil, we being real or it's a reality? It's a fact. Well, he got to learn. MashaAllah. Right? So no man is going to mistake his wife's lingerie that's black as being what? So it's not just the color. The fiqh of those hadiths is not just the color. And this is why it's permissible to wear red. Those hadiths that prohibit wearing red, the scholars, they differ on them, and the correct view is that it's lawful to wear red. And wearing red by itself doesn't denote femininity or lack of masculinity. But it's always the style and the nature of the color. So you can have on a pink shirt, you can have on pink socks, you can have on whatever pink, it doesn't mean that you're feminine. And you can have on something that's black or blue or white, and it could be feminine. So it depends on what you wear, how you wear it, and most importantly, it depends on how you carry yourself. There are guys who are soft and feminine, whether they're gay or not, and they wear normal colors. And you may find a brother wearing a pastel color, and you don't say the wrong thing out your mouth to him, because you know you don't play that. So you have to have a proper understanding. So I don't think pink is feminine absolutely. Would I wear all pink from top to toe? No, I wouldn't. Would I wear pink socks? Yes, I have pink socks. A pink shirt, pink polo shirt, super nice, mashallah. Nice button-up pink, right? Pink khakis or something, whatever. Back in the day, the polo chinos, right? That's one thing. Now, you can remember that or not? They still wear them? Akib, for sure or not? And no one said that's feminine. So it depends on the style and it depends on how you carry yourself. And Allah surely knows best. Next question says, it's coming from Winnipeg, Manitoba. Initials AM. Is listening to nasheeds by a certain group in the Middle East haram? And nasheeds are nasheeds, east or west. They're either lawful or they're unlawful. Regardless of who's saying them, it depends on the nasheed. What they're talking about, what's in the background, etc. East, west, north, south. OS from Matthews, North Carolina. Assalamu alaikum. My brother works at Panera Bread, where they have bacon on the menu, but he works as a cashier, cleaner. Is he sinful for me to refuse to take him home or take him to work if mom tells me? Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Take your brother to work. Give him advice, make dua for him, and no doubt about it. This is a serious issue, guys. It's a big issue in America. Most jobs that you go to is going to have some type of haram element. And that's why some of the pious predecessors, if my memory serves me correctly, Hassan al-Basri, rahimahullah, he said, or others, they would say, أَعَزُّ الْأَشْيَاءِ إِلَيَّ ثَلَاثَةٌ, or أَعَزُّ الْأَشْيَاءِ إِلَيَّ ثِنْتَانِ. The hardest things to find, the most difficult thing to find is dirhamun min halal. Is a pure gold coin. A gold coin that's totally pure. No one was oppressed, wronged, hurt, stolen. This gold coin is unadulterated. They said that in the time of the most righteous generations of the Muslims. Imagine in 2021, a dollar bill that's clean. It never passed this person's hand. It was never in this part. It was never in this article of clothing. It was never on this street corner. It was never here. It was never taken from someone. It got no filth is on this dollar. Easy to find or difficult? Right? So many times, brothers, they get jobs. They want to pray on time. They don't want to shave their beards. They don't want to be forced to shake this woman's hand or to do this or to listen to this. But you may have this issue with it. Or you work with this. Or it's issue with the money. If it's not pork, it's issue with alcohol. If it's not alcohol, it's issue with location. You're a bus driver. You drive a train. Sunday morning is your route. You're not picking up that lady to go to church? Friday night. You don't know that's when you're going to make the majority of your money for the week? How are you going to make your money on Friday night? Except for what? People going where? Either what? Right or wrong, what do you want to do? So oftentimes there are many haram elements included in certain jobs in which it's very difficult to avoid. So don't go too hard on your brother. Try to find something better, but you can run, but you can't hide. If it's not an issue of bacon, then you're going to work somewhere and they won't say shave your beard. Or you can't pray on time. Or you can't go to Jumu'ah. Or you have to sit, well, heck of that. So you have to pick your poison in 2021 unless Allah blesses you to be somewhere which is totally free from these things. And that's scarce. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. Don't go to the extreme. And Allahu A'lam. Tayyib, moving forward. Question is coming from the Bronx. Initials TA. Are the hadiths from the farewell sermon in the Muwatta and Mustadrak that mention leaving behind Quran and Sunnah authentic? In general, the Prophet ﷺ's farewell sermon has different parts and different editions. Okay? Not every single edition is going to be the most sound, but the general body of it is going to be sound. And there are many texts that support that message that the Prophet ﷺ left behind for us several things. The Quran, and of course the Sunnah, and of course Ahlul Bayt, not disrespecting his household and his family members. And Allah surely knows best. Questions coming from India. You got to mention your city. Ammar from Vancouver, BC. You got to mention your last name. Hamilton, Canada, HA. If a couple consummate their marriage before the Walima, even though their parents told them not to, do they have to tell their parents? It depends on the agreement that you made with your parents, with their parents. It's not haram to sleep with your wife. That's your wife. If there's a situation or you guys felt like you needed to be with each other and the parents said, no, wait, it's not haram. And if you don't tell the parents because of a reason, a need, we have to keep it discreet, then so be it. Wallahu a'lam. AB from Boston, Massachusetts. Of all the great men of the past, aside from the companions and messengers, who has inspired you most? Who has most inspired Mufti? That's a very hard question. No doubt about that. And if I had to pick one, if I was forced to pick one, which is very hard because there's so many different great scholars, great warriors, great Muslims of the past. But if I had to pick one, I would say Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah. Wallahu a'lam. RR from Kerala, India. What are the tips for memorizing Islamic books? You can go on our playlists and find several lectures and series on how to memorize properly. AA from Mississauga, Ontario. Some Muslim brothers say that if I become more religious, I'll be tested more. Or if I seek knowledge, I'll get tested more. So therefore, I won't do that. What to say to them? Don't say anything to them. You seek knowledge, and being religious isn't an option and isn't a choice. And obviously, that the word being religious is problematic. That's a problem, even just using that word religious. May Allah help us all. Protect us from secularism. NY from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Since a woman can wipe her khimar for wudu, is it a must that she has wudu before wearing the khimar like the rulings with socks? No, it's not the same. The scholar of Islam mentioned wearing a turban and wiping over the turban does not hold the exact rulings of tawqit, of the timeline like the khuf. And obviously all the scholars, they don't agree that a woman can wipe over her khimar. That's one view. AE from London, UK. Mufti, I don't want to misquote you, but I think I heard you saying that you can pray Isha until Fajr or something similar to this. Isn't there an authentic hadith which mentions midnight? Jazakallah khairan. Thank you very much for asking. Of course. And that issue is well known to the ulama of Islam. And the opinion that we adopt is that prayer is made until the time goes out. As the Messenger of Allah ﷺ says, "Laysa fi nomi tafritun," and that's also an authentic hadith. That he who oversleeps until the time for the prayer leaves has made a mistake. Okay, so Fajr is the last time that you can offer Salatul Isha according to that view. And there are other ulama who hold the view that it goes out at the mid of the night. But the view that we adopt is that Isha can be made until Fajr comes in. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Hanan Aslam, Floral Park, New York. Hayakallah Hanan Aslam, Barakallah Feek. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Beloved Ustad, I hope you're well. May Allah grant you barakah in all your affairs. Does the understanding of the longest ayah in Surah Baqarah have any relation to ruling on credit cards? Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah bless you, Hanan Aslam. It's good to hear from you. Hopefully you're doing well. MashaAllah, last night, Brother Yunus, Masjid Taqwa in Brooklyn, he mentioned your name. He brought you up in a good way. May Allah reward you, Ameen. And keep you firm upon studying, Ameen. Of course, a credit card pertains to debt. A credit card pertains to responsibility, financial responsibility. A credit card pertains to a record. And the list goes on. And it's very interesting that the longest verse in the Quran is talking about money. That's definitely food for thought. The longest verse in the Quran is not talking about knowledge. It's not talking about fighting. It's not talking about marriage. It's not talking about what you believe in. The longest Quranic passage of one ayah is talking about money. It's definitely something to think about. The importance and the danger of money and of debts and paying debts and collecting debts and recording debts, right? And not making any excuse to be sloppy when it comes to owing money, right? If you can't write it down, have someone else write it down. If there aren't two men, a man and two women, etc., etc., etc. It's very, very interesting. Sheikh Abdul Muhsin, our Sheikh, he has a book that he wrote just on that ayah. Fiqh ayatul dain, or min fiqhi ayatul dain. It's a treatise, a risala. Wallahu alam. Next question says, JM or IS, initials or location. JM from the Bronx, New York. If you've been studying Quran in Arabic but want a deeper connection, what would be the next steps? Jazakallahu khairan. How do you tayyib? The next steps is you keep studying. You have to have a teacher to show you the way and to show you what to read, what to study, and how to learn more. Also, same initials coming from the Bronx. How do you interpret the names of Allah? Is it just reflecting on the names, or is it there a book or a specific way? We've done a lecture on this, a monthly lecture on Asma'ul Husna. I would recommend you to check it out. A full workshop on Allah's beautiful names. NY from Zahir from Morrisville, PA. What's your opinion or view of the scholars of Salaf on Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab? Well, we have a policy on the live stream is we do not allow questions to be asked or answered speaking on particular individuals. And there's many wisdoms why I've made that rule. Many wisdoms. So please respect that rule. We do not ask or answer any question on anybody specifically in the live stream. Make dua for the Muslims and the scholars of Islam. Ask Allah to accept their good deeds. Ask Allah to forgive any sins or mistakes that they made. That's what you stay busy with, inshallah ta'ala. Wallahu a'lam. And last but not least, and this is no bashing of the questioner, but this is very important to understand the proper mindset, is Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab, may Allah have mercy on him, he came over 1,000 years after the Salaf. So how can the scholars of the Salaf have an opinion on him? Historically, that's what doesn't make any sense. Okay? The Salaf al-Salih, the first 3 generations of the Muslims, who no doubt who understood the Quran and Sunnah the best, who practiced the Quran and Sunnah the best, who called to the Quran and Sunnah the best. That's a fact. Undisputable fact. All right? Tayyib, that period of time isn't the time of Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab. Right? And if you mean scholars who attribute themselves to that way, that's a different discussion. And Allah surely knows best. Wrapping up here, question is coming from JM from the Bronx. May you simply explain the ruling on niqab? Yeah. If you're a sister, wear it. If you have a wife or daughter, you should tell them to wear it. The niqab is best. Covering the face and the hands is best. There's no doubt about that. There's no difference of opinion that it's the best thing to do. And it is more modest, and it covers and it shields better. Is it obligatory? Different discussion, different argument, but you should wear the niqab. You should cover your hands and your face. That's a fact. DZ from Philly. Married couple who weren't not Muslim and the wife takes shahada, does she have to divorce immediately even though they've been together for years, but her husband is studying also to be a Muslim? When the husband becomes a Muslim, inshallah, they need to get remarried. If she accepts Islam first, they need to get remarried. If they accept Islam at the same time, different story. MZ from Kerala, India. Fiqh book by Muhammad Subhi bin Hassan Halak, reliable or not for a layman? Same rule. IT from California. Next question. YL from Alberta, Canada. If someone stretches a 2-count med letter in the tashahhud to 4-count and the meanings change, that's wiswas. Be careful, wiswas. JM from the Bronx. Lastly, is it normal to always feel like a hypocrite? Barakallahu feek. Yes and no. Yes and no. It's a good thing to fear hypocrisy. It's a good thing to scorn yourself, to scorn your deeds, and to be fearful of Allah putting a seal on your heart. You don't know how you're going to die. But it's unhealthy for a person to have that type of doubt or wiswas, which a person keeps saying about himself, I'm a munafiq, I'm not a believer, Allah doesn't love me. That's dangerous. And it can oftentimes be fake piety. Be careful of saying it in front of people too often. I'm nothing, I don't have anything, I don't know anything, I really don't know a lot. Are you really that humble? Or do you want the people to say, MashaAllah, look how humble he is? So just be balanced. Quran and Sunnah. Quran and Sunnah teaches us to be fearful of nifaq and to be fearful of our deeds not being accepted. The Quran and Sunnah teaches us to be humble and to never have pride. And that's it. We don't go beyond the Quran and Sunnah, right? As Imam Ahmad, rahimahullah ta'ala, he gave us the golden rule with regards to what we believe in, what we don't believe in. And they try to force him, beat him, to say that the Quran was a created thing of Allah. They try to force him to interpret Allah's names and attributes to be metaphorical or to be figurative, etc., etc., etc. He says, La yutajawazu al-Quran wal hadith. That's it. What's in the Quran and Sunnah, that's what it is. You don't go beyond that. You don't fall short of that. And Allah surely knows best. I want to stop here. جزاكم الله خيرا صلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا وإمامنا محمد